Well, now's the problem.
No, it's
You should just assume.
right. Okay. Let's bring the workshop meeting for July 5th to order. And let's start off with a roll call about who is here.
Vice President Diane Law,
Here.
Councilmember Brooke Bouchette Williams,
Here.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein,
Here.
Councilmember Matt Castilla,
Here.
Councilmember Adam McDowell.
Here.
Councilmember Valerie Reinfeller.
Here. Well, we need to note that our manager, Alex Graziani, is not here this evening. He has a well-deserved opportunity and fortunately is off doing his summer thing. Our president, Jade Warren, could not join us tonight, but I want to thank the people who were able to arrive in person. We have had some difficulty getting everybody here with COVID and everything else, and it's great. So with that, let's start with public comment. Do we have any people who'd like to speak to us this evening? Kate Kerrigan Hill, are you there, Kate?
Okay.
She didn't raise her hand.
Just as a reminder, if you'd like to speak, please go onto your Zoom and find the area where to raise your hand. And I don't think we have any phone lines tonight, so we don't need to worry about that.
We let them know the number of attendees we have online.
Yep.
Good idea.
Looks like just two.
Okay. The Klein family. Are you with us?
Yeah, but they haven't raised their hand, so.
Okay. Have to give them a chance.
Yep.
All right. Well, apparently no public comment tonight. Our discussion items are rather limited. The first thing we need to do is acknowledge receipt of the draft meeting minutes from the Monday, June 6th meeting and the council workshop meeting Monday, June 13th. Or the regular council meeting rather. Does anybody have any questions or edits for those minutes? No? Okay, well then we'll act on those next week. We have agency and staff reports. We have manager secretary report, which is in your binder. Hope everybody had a chance to look at that. And there's some interesting things in there, as always, but particularly. Also, you have your public works report in your binder, Woodland Hills EMS, Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority. Gavin, you want to take a second to explain to people what that is? That's in your binder as well.
Sure. We did get a word over the weekend and then a follow-up email from the authority solicitor this afternoon. The Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority is in the process of borrowing money, I think issuing bonds, I believe, although I haven't seen the financing paperwork. And as part of that, the authority needs to extend its life by an additional 50 years. So when authorities are created, they're created for up to a maximum of 50 years. And you may have seen this over time. I don't think it's happened during my tenure here in Churchill, but certainly I've seen in other places where once, especially if there's going to be a borrowing for a large project, bonds that are going to be paid over decades oftentimes. And you have to be able to show that the authority essentially is going to be around to pay its
Right.
bills when they come due. So this is essentially just another 50-year extension. I circulated some documents right before the meeting. I don't expect anyone to have an opportunity to review them yet. But we have been asked to do this, I think, as soon as possible. So I'll ask Alex and Michelle to put this on for voting, the vote to advertise next week.
Yeah.
And then we could take action at the August meeting to
Okay.
extend it. So it's essentially each one of the member municipalities of the authority has to pass its own ordinance agreeing to extend the life of the authority for an additional 50 years.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody have any questions about this, or are you feeling okay about going forward next Monday? We're good? Okay. Then we also have reports, of course, from the C.C. Miller Memorial Library, the tax collector, building inspection underwriters. Does anybody have any questions about any of those reports? No? Dennis, you have anything for us this evening?
Just a quick update. Got an update from regarding the paving program. Mealy is expected to start either the last week of July or first week of August. That's today's most recent update. That, and then for the pavement management plan and the data that was reported by the subconsultant, we actually received the raw data on Friday of last week. So we'll be processing that data, reviewing it, and hopefully have a report for the infrastructure committee at the end of July, and something to discuss it early.
Yeah, I saw the estimate for Branding Road. Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
So, and that was a separate thing. That was from the mine subsidence
Yeah.
that occurred there, and there was a void underneath the roadway. So in order to best identify that void and properly fill it back up,
Yeah,
that would be the plan, is to excavate. We hope to move forward with the contractor that we have under contract currently. Solar Construction. We hope to start that work next week.
questions, anybody? Anything to say, Matt?
What's the duration on the paving?
It should be 3 weeks or no more than 3 weeks. They may even be done in 2 weeks, but just with cleanup and some of the stormwater work. So if they
Okay.
started beginning of August, I'd still expect them to be completed before school starts. I think school is August 20th.
That's why I was asking.
Okay, here we go. Okay, anybody have anything else? Then we'll go to council committees. Management and government. Well, we really don't have a report this month. And there are a number of things that we are working on. It's sort of a reset now. After all that we've done during these last couple of years. Alex is doing a great job with grants, and all of that. So we'll get to you when we think we have something that is worthy of a report.
I can add something to that. Him and I, with the Management Government Committee, we're working on some external communication policies. I know that there are some internal communication policies that we've been working on as well as a social media policy. We've talked about it, but there's nothing that has been officially written. So Alex and I, he did draft something up, and we'll be taking a look at that.
Good. Okay. Finance Committee.
First, there was a meeting in June with PNC to review current pension status for both the borough employees and the police. So PNC is good job giving an update based on the current market and everything that's going on there. We are currently assessing how best to utilize the Pliget account that we voted on several months ago now. Using that to maximize the interest for the borough, which is what Pliget was set up for. Sean, if you have anything else to go on. Since our last meeting, we had more coming up, and we're looking at a couple of accounts that use for that. And then the other thing is we are looking at the and preparing the 2023 budget, and we hope to have that process up and running in the next month or so we can begin.
Yeah, okay, good. It's gonna be challenging, I know. So it always is, but we're kind of coming off this other mindset. Public safety, we don't have a written report this month because our whole committee meeting last time was that we had the police chief from Monroeville who came to our committee and talked about the memorandum of understanding they have with the school district there. And that whole process that they've been through. I think they were one of the first in Allegheny County to have the school district decide to have their own police force. So they have a longer period of time that they've been dealing with this. And interestingly enough, it's kind of coming full circle because the school is now apparently deciding that it's a good idea for them to have the police back in the building. So This is a very fluid situation. That is in preparation for, the superintendent was here at our last month. That is in preparation for our discussion about the formation of a memorandum of understanding once they get their security system in place, their personnel. They're redoing all of that this summer. So I would imagine, I would hope that we would have a meeting with them in August. But when we have a draft of that, we'll certainly, make that available to everybody on the council. But it's slow going because they have a whole rebuilding thing to do. So that's basically what we did at Public Safety. Does anybody have any questions about any of that now? I'm happy to answer them, but it's fluid. Okay, infrastructure.
Sure. So written reports in the binder. I'll highlight a couple of areas. So the occupancy ordinance, we got final draft language of that together. We'll probably review that as a committee at our next meeting and then recommend, to vote for advertisement in August. And then, we put that probably in place September or October, depending on how we move forward with that. As part of that, we're working also, one of the areas we found out that we were weak in is we don't have anything to address short-term rentals, which are typically handled separately. So we're also working, Gavin's firm is working on a draft of a short-term rental, ordinance as well. So that will have to go through the planning commission and then, through the committee to get recommended to council, but that's also on the horizon as well. Let's see. Talking about, we already updated on the pavement plan. Oh, the female locker room and ADA bathroom upgrades for council chambers. That work was released for design. And then also just to reiterate, we were awarded some grant money towards that work. So that was good to finally get that grant, find out that that was awarded, and will certainly help with that work to keep it moving forward. So that's in process, and happy to say that we were given that grant funding. And I think that was it. Oh, we provided a article for the newsletter as well from the committee.
Yeah, really great article. Good for you.
Yeah, it was a great article.
Yeah,
Thanks.
really good. Yeah, now, do we have any sense of where we might get the rest of the money that we need to do that job?
So I think, we're gonna have to look at the budget. Alex has been working on that a little bit, so he's got some ideas, and we may need to, look at possibly taking a small couple-year infrastructure loan, to do that. Or we'll see how we can budget it out.
Yeah,
Part of the reason we wanted to get the final design plans done is so we can get more accurate bids in as well.
right.
So we have, a better idea.
Yeah,
of
I'm
total
always
costs.
hoping for third-party funding, so I press these issues all the time. Okay, thanks, Matt. Communication, Val.
Yeah, we met a few weeks ago. The official report is in your binder. We talked about Savvy Citizen and how that's been great. There's been a stall of people joining. So if you haven't joined, please do so and tell your friends about it. We've also included, you'll see in your agenda on the last page that there is a QR code. So anybody that sees the agenda online can also scan the little QR code on their phone and sign up for Savvy Citizen. So we're just trying to push it out.
We did get 1,000 people. So
Yes, we do have 1,000 people, which is
We did the
great.
1,000 mark,
Which is great.
But we
We
want more.
want more. We want more.
Yeah, because we don't know how many households, so that could be,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it's not just Churchill, it's also surrounding
Right.
communities
Yeah.
too. So we want more people to sign up for it.
Mhm.
The newsletter is out in the printers, so everybody should be getting there shortly. There's some great stories on there, some awesome pictures. Like we said, Nat did a little cameo appearance there of some his story there, so
Yeah.
please check that out. Yeah, that was pretty much it for communication. There's a couple things in the agenda there.
The newsletter looks great. Congratulations. Okay, climate action.
So we met about a week ago, and we weren't able to discuss the waste management contract. Michelle Nestor was unavailable, But that's still the big thing that we're working on. We are looking to get our final comments to her and have the final specs ready for solicitation of bids for the new waste management contract here within the next couple of weeks. I think our meeting's set for the 13th. So we're hoping to have that finalized and get that ready to go. We also had a discussion about the use of plastics and educating citizens, and possibly, Deb mentioned preparing some kind of article for one of the upcoming newsletters on ways that individuals can reduce plastics in their home, reducing plastic bags, single-use plastics, trying to reduce your use of those things. So that's something that we're looking to prepare for an upcoming newsletter. And then finally, we met with Ken Balky from the Tree Committee to discuss that committee's concerns, the possibility of a tree replanting program that they're working on. They're continuing to work on the tree mapping project. And once we know where the trees are currently in the borough, they can work more on a potential project for planting new trees. And there are some other issues that we addressed with them. We'll be having a potential meeting in maybe August with the entire tree committee. We'd like to get a possibly in-person meeting with the entire climate action committee and the tree committee to discuss how that committee can best use its efforts.
Yeah. Our constant concern is the care of the trees, the proper care of the trees, and people coming in who aren't qualified and lopping off portions of trees and creating ultimately dangerous situations. So there's a very practical, very serious side to the tree issue. In addition to the whole air quality and all of that. So thank you for keeping us posted there, Adam.
I have a quick
Yeah.
question. The waste, the solid waste ordinance, is that in shape that I should be reviewing it now, or are you guys gonna take one more crack at it and send it over?
So yeah, after our meeting on the 13th, that's gonna put it in sort of a final form. I think Alex will probably get it over to you. As soon as that, we have to do a final look over.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Let me ask one question, Adam. Is there any discussion about glass at this point, and is that part of the specs for the?
It's part of it. We've had this discussion. I feel like at most of the meetings this has come up. It's going to be, well, we have to look at it more. We have to see where the specs are going to come in at, where the bids are coming in at.
Okay,
We have to understand what the different companies are going to offer as far as glass collection goes. And my understanding is that's based on the market and whether or not they can resell it essentially.
yeah,
And also the issue of contamination,
right.
which is when the glass gets crushed up, it causes the other recyclable items to no longer be recyclable.
Right.
Because it's a crushed glass, and how easy is it for that to be removed, or are we essentially throwing away stuff that should have been recycled because of it? So it's been a big topic of discussion at our meetings, and I think we're going to have to wait and see where the waste management companies come in on what they plan to do for that. But we've
It's a
Yeah.
problem all around.
I would just add, I think the way we're handling that is there's gonna be multiple bid options, and we're asking for pricing on
Right.
all the different options, and I believe one of them includes, recycling glass at the curbside like we do right now, and one of them does not. In
Yeah.
case there's a large price difference,
We've always done that in those contracts so that we can take a look at, really compare, what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do for what price. In any event, whatever we decide on, I think that this is such a hot topic for people that we really need to think through how we're going to properly educate the public about these details. Because of course, people expect that we should just be able to do all of these things, and also the cost associated. If you want, when we get the bids in, if you want to have all these different things, it has a price tag. So big price tag. So thanks for all that work. It's a very important issue.
I just
So you're gonna bring it up.
no, I was going to add real quick that if it turns out the glass was not curbside collected, we did discuss some other potential options.
Good.
And even education, having, telling people where they can take their glass to be recycled
Right.
if it comes down to that. We discussed some of the difficulties of having a dumpster in locations with
Yeah.
problems with broken glass. So there's a lot
Absolutely.
of complicated things around glass.
That's right.
Once we finally see the bids, I think we'll be able to develop a plan for exactly what we're going to do.
One of the ironic things about this is that the Pittsburgh area was one of the largest glass producers
I know.
ever. And, you know, there are a number of people, particularly people who are very involved in environmental issues, who talk about the fact that, you know, there needs to be some incentive for there to be a local glass processing business, instead of constantly looking to these big companies and what they do. So I'm hopeful that if we, however we land here, that's one of the multi-municipal, you know, things that I think we should be looking at and talking to other municipalities about. What can we do collectively to address the glass recycling issue? So that's an idea. The mayor cannot be with us. He is happily on vacation with his family. He wrote a lovely report for us, which is in the binder, and he did a wonderful article in the newsletter. I thought his article was great.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to seeing Paul, I think next week. Wasn't sure he'd be back, was the question. So, okay, any updates?
Can I just circle back real quick? to
Oh, sorry,
climate?
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one quick thing. I met with the woman, Lauren Palomera,
Yeah,
and she is an environmental educator at Woodland Hills School
yes, she
District,
is, yeah.
Climate Action Committee there, and also she's part of Communitopia.
Mhm.
She's doing some great things, even with this, and with the students at Woodland Hills too.
Right.
So I met with her in the hopes that at some point we could collaborate
Sure,
with Woodland Hills and Communitopia and us to
right.
make our environment better.
Before your
So,
time, we were asked, Churcher was asked to serve on the steering committee
Mhm.
when Communitopia was first contracted with by the school district. I attended a bunch of those meetings.
Mhm.
Ken really attended most of those
Yeah.
meetings. So now that passes to
Mhm.
the Climate Action Committee.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I'm not in anymore, but we have a history
Well, that's
with
good,
that
great.
group, and
Well,
yeah,
when I went to the Woodland Hills School District, school board meeting,
Yeah.
that's where I met her.
right,
She was with the student and they presented, and I was so impressed with the student.
yep, oh, yeah.
That, and then when I talked to them afterwards, all the things they're doing at the school,
Mhm.
I just think, you know, that's something I'd
Yeah.
like to get more involved in.
It's
and
been a
hopefully-
wonderful program.
Yeah,
And again, I don't want to, Ken did the bulk of the work to
Mhm.
get that started, and I think that our borough should be proud
mhm,
of the amount of work and commitment that
right.
basically Ken has done representing the borough. It's been huge.
Good.
And it's real good things are happening there. So
Good.
I'm all in favor of you
Well, I told her,
continuing
I'm
that work.
hoping she can
Yeah.
speak at our next climate action.
Yeah.
It's about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Just-
I
Yeah.
think that
We
should be
could
good.
throw around some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll help
Yeah.
that.
And Lauren is a Churchill
Yes,
borough
Yeah.
Yeah.
resident.
right.
So-
So she checks every box.
Yep, she does indeed. Okay. Anybody else have anything? No? Well,
I'll just, for closing comment, or I guess we're moving on to council staff comments.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure, you know, our staff does a wonderful job for us, so always appreciate their efforts. Wanted to say thank you to our staff, but then also to our volunteer firefighters. I was out on the 4th of July and was just out and about, decided to stop into the building here for a minute just to see who was on duty for the police and everything. And, you know, while I was here, fire call came in and, you know, those guys came racing up and jumped on the trucks and got out. And, you know, on the holiday when they should be taking the day off, we're out and
Right.
serving our community. So we certainly appreciate that, and make sure if you see our volunteers out, you know, thank them for their service.
absolutely. Thank you
Especially
for mentioning that, Matt.
Horrible fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That when you've had this occasionally with the police situation too, you know, it's so important for everyone to understand how much training, how much preparation has to be in place. These things come out of left field. And we have an extraordinarily well-trained fire department. It's a volunteer fire department, which still, I mean, it's just astonishing to me. The job that they do and how well they do it. So they had a terrible situation they had to deal with. And this is one of these things that they have to, I mean, they have to be ready. So we feel really terrible for the family, very terrible for the people who tried to help and, you know, and it was not successful entirely, although there were many people, everybody else in that family got out. So, we have that to be thankful for, but it's such an important job. Thank you for mentioning that. Also with our police force, you know, people say, well, our police force, you know, drives it. No, wait until there is a major incident. It seems like when we can go for long periods of time and occasionally something very serious happens. Again, out of left field. So we have to be prepared. Anybody else have anything they want to add in general?
I want to say thank you to everybody that's online. I see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are attendees. So thank you for hopping in today.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to hear from our citizens. So, you know, let us know what's on your mind. Okay.
And we're, let's keep Ralph in our thoughts. Our public safety director's mom died this morning, so
Yeah.
just something.
Yeah, what about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? No? Okay. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in
Game set.